Hey guys, welcome back to another Q&A. It is July 3rd, 2022. All right. So we have, is high SHBG an issue in natural bodybuilders and tips to lower it? Yeah, I mean, it can be an issue in everyone. I mean, SHBG is going to be sex hormone binding globulin. It's going to bind primarily to testosterone and estrogen. That's what it binds to. So to control the total versus free levels of these hormones. So those hormones being high would be a reason that it would be elevated. You know, in natural bodybuilder, probably not the cause. Another reason would be insulin. So insulin generally lowers SHBG. So fasting blood work can skew SHBG to some extent. I would generally tell people if there's no other telltale signs, then we would want to probably check it in a non-fasted state as a follow-up just to confirm. That's honestly a pretty common one. So, I would consider that if you had it tacked on to a fasted lab, then it can get iffy. Also, thyroid, normally hyperthyroid though. So, again, probably not the cause. I see this with people on medication or, with an autoimmune thyroid issue or something. Probably not the cause. I mean, you're going to know if it is, obviously. But those are some common ones. I would really think about the fasted versus non-fasted level, though. If we want to maximize hypertrophy in a shorter off-season, about 12 months, do you think some form of sensitization is preferred after a few blocks of high-ish volume, or can we simply switch to new movements and keep the amount of previous volume? Increasing workload, increasing volume over time is kind of where the progression is, right? So you could switch if you were able to increase volume still, or continue to progress over a 12-month span. That's probably gonna get a little iffy. Now, the big factor here would be, what is the starting position? Because if you're starting from a weaker state, kind of a detrained state, like after a long diet or after a contest prep or whatever, chances are you are maybe not detrained necessarily. I mean, you're still training, but you are weaker. So you should be able to resensitize at the beginning portion of that and progress with minimal workload, and then kind of progress through the whole thing without, I'm not going to say that you're never going to have to rest in there or deload, but I mean, you could certainly go a longer period of time because you're going to reach maximum. It's going to take you a lot longer to reach maximal volume at that point and that overreaching threshold. So kind of it's really going to depend on what the pre-growth phase scenario kind of looked like. Now, I would say most likely you're going to need some kind of deload resensitization. I cannot say that in there somewhere, unless again you're starting in like a really detrained state or something like that. But of course, like just switching volumes or switching movements and continuing to progress it on them, you can increase volume that way, right? Because you're probably going to restart and be at a lower volume depending on the movement and work your way back up. Rinse and repeat. So, I mean, that's definitely plausible. I mean, that would work. Now I'm getting into my 50s. I'm finding it harder to maintain focus during my workout. It's as though my neurotransmitters run out two-thirds of the way through, and I lose drive, connection, intensity, etc. Feel like I could have a nap. My sleep itself is actually okay. Any advice? I've never been one to use intra-sups. And caffeine is a no-go due to GI upset. Workout duration 1 hour. Eat whole food 1 hour prior. Okay, there would be some questions there. At 50, it could be a lot of things. I mean, it could literally just be, I don't know if this is male or female. I didn't catch that, so I'm not sure. Sorry about that. But of course, just age-related hormone decline, hypogonadism in males, or andropause, if you want to use that term. Menopause in females, maybe peri, maybe post. So that's probably what I would be looking at first and foremost. If all variables are consistent otherwise, and you have like long-term, feedback, at least within your own memory, then That's probably the one thing that has changed over 10, 20 years, whatever it may be. That's what I would be looking at. There could be some other things, like, of course, in that case, recovery capacity also goes down. Maybe recovery capacity is going down with age as well, overall. Maybe you're doing too much. Maybe what you're doing now, what you could do before, is not what you should be doing now. So, those are some factors, and those are mostly age-related factors. So those are the things I would be looking into. Without me knowing anything else about you, those are the items that I would be looking at. One more, a little short one today because I didn't leave. I posted it and I recorded kind of quickly afterwards, so I didn't leave a whole lot of room. Someone asks, recently prescribed thyroid medication, T4, and still experiencing hypothyroid symptoms. Any advice? T4, I mean, there's some some potential issues there. Would be, first one obviously being conversion issue. You're just not converting to T3 adequately. Another one would be free levels. Remember, there is TBG, thyroid binding globulin, so you could have sufficient conversion, you could have sufficient T4 to convert into a sufficient amount of T3, but too much of that T3 is bound. So those are possibilities. So really, I would need to know, maybe what were the levels prior, what was the conversion prior, what is the dose of the medication, how much, so we can see, like, is the dose even high enough, for one, is enough of that converting, and then 3, is enough of what's converted actually bioavailable, or is it bound? So those are the things you want to look at, stress, nutrient deficiencies, gut issues. I mean, all these things are going to dictate conversion, binding, etc. Knowing dose and knowing what the levels look like prior versus now, you would be able to see, like, is it just not converting? Is there just not enough? If there's enough total but not enough free, and that would kind of help you answer your question. That's it for this time. Appreciate everyone's questions, and I will talk to you all next time.